What's up, everybody? It's Legal Tender. I'm back in the building. I'm back in the vote. Pulled out a note to make a new video. As always, I want to start off by thanking everybody for supporting the channel. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're a fan of Newsmatics, if you're a fan of paper currency, if you're just getting into the hobby of Newsmatics, stay rocking with me. Stay rocking with the channel. Every Tuesday is Legal Tender Tuesday, and I'll be making a new episode every week, speaking about something new, different, or interesting within the realm of Newsmatics. If you have any questions, comments, or input, put it down in the comment section. I read everything and I respond back as soon as possible. And I love reading your input, so let's keep that going. Throughout the video, if I say something that isn't 100% accurate or it's a little different from what you know, let me know via the comments. I will go back, hit the books, do my research, and make sure that I have the right information moving forward. All right, so with that being said, let's get into today's episode. All right, so today, the note that I pulled out is this right here. This bill, this right here is a $1 silver certificate Hawaii emergency currency note. All right, so these notes came into play after the attack on Pearl Harbor. Military officials surmised that in the event of an invasion of Hawaii, Imperial Japanese forces will have access to a considerable amount of U.S. currency that could be seized from financial institutions or private individuals. With this being a possible reality, Military Governor Delos Carlton Emmons on January 10th, 1942, issued an order to recall all regular U.S. currency in the islands. There was a financial cap on the funds that individuals and businesses could possess at any time. So to avoid, in case of an invasion with, let's just say, well, I ain't gonna say Axis forces. I got down in my notes, Imperial Japanese forces. So in case of an invasion and Imperial forces invaded Hawaii, they could take all the money from financial institutions and people. So to reduce that from happening, if it was to happen, there was a cap on how much money financial institutions, businesses, or people can possess at one time. So people were allowed to have in their possession a max of $200, and businesses had a cap of $500. But there was there was not a clause. There was a stipulation that you could have for a business, you could have a little more than $500 for discretionary funds to take care of any unforeseen business matters. So speaking about this note for a little bit. So like I said, this is a silver certificate. You could tell the currency type up top. Now, usually I want to say not 10 times out of 10, but 8 times out of 10, silver certificates are identified with a blue Treasury Seal and blue serial numbers. But this silver certificate has a brown, or some may say a maroon Treasury Seal and serial numbers. So I get a whole lot of debate that this is maroon, but it looked pretty brown to me. So put down in the comments, do you call this a brown seal or a maroon seal with matching serial numbers? And speaking of serial numbers, this here is a trinary. Got a 3, a 0, and a 9. So those 3 digits make up the entirety of this 8-digit serial number. So it's even cooler. All right, so currency type is a silver certificate with a brown or maroon Treasury Seal and serial number, and it is series year 1935. And I would get into a little more detail with the other literature you may find on this note. All right, so on June 25th, 1942, new overprinted notes were first issued. 1 silver certificate and 3 Federal Reserve notes. So let's go to the visual aid for a second. All right, so $1 denomination is a silver certificate. These Hawaii notes were printed in 4 denominations: $1 bill, front and back. We got a $5 bill, a $10 note, and a $20 note. But going back for a second, zoom in for a sec. If we could see it. All right, so this currency type for the 5, for the 10, and for the 20. The 5, 10, and 20 are all Federal Reserve notes, with only the $1 note being a silver certificate. Why it's like that, I don't know. Going through my research, I'm gonna do a little bit more knowledge to see if I can find that answer out. But if you know, put that down in the comments, because I'm pretty curious to know why they printed 4 notes, but only one is a certain currency type, while the other ones are not the Federal Reserve notes. This is the only note of this series that I have. I still need to get a 5, 10, and 20, and when I do, I'll let you know. But moving on, so like I said, yeah, the $1 bill is a silver certificate, and that is series year 1935A, as we identified right there. And then you have series 1934 as a $5 bill and a $20 bill. And then they did a series 1934A that is a 5, 10, and 20 Federal Reserve note. And with these Federal Reserve notes coming from San Francisco, from that Federal Reserve district. These notes had brown Treasury seals and brown serial numbers, or maroon, whatever your color preference is. And it had the word Hawaii printed on the note 3 times. Twice on the front, in between these borders, once on the left side and once on the right. And also superimposed going across the reverse of the note. And this was on all 4 denominations, as you see right there on the $20 bill. Hawaii, Hawaii, Hawaii. Same thing for the 10, and same thing for the 5. So the purpose for the Hawaii being printed over these denominations is for the fact that they would be easily identifiable, and Congress could immediately declare any Hawaii printed note worthless due to their easy identification. And that was in case Imperial Japanese forces did invade Hawaii and seized all the money. So anything that had a brown Treasury seal and Hawaii printed on it, Congress can immediately devalue all of those notes, which would make the seizure of that money completely useless. Military officials prohibited the use of non-overprinted notes and ordered all Hawaii residents to turn in regular notes for Hawaii overprint notes by July 15th, 1942. Beginning on August 15th, 1942, no other paper U.S. currency could be used except under special permission. Although a sizable number of these notes were recalled and destroyed after the end of World War II, many escaped destruction. And I got one right here. All right, so these notes were printed from 1942 until 1944. Again, the Treasury seal is in debate between being brown or maroon. Throughout my research, I've actually read both brown or maroon, depending on the source that I read. These notes came in the following denominations: a 1, 5, 10, and $20 note. The traditional images from 1928 was used on all denominations on the obverse and on the reverse of the note. So on the $1 bill, you will have George Washington on the obverse, and on the reverse, you will have the Great Seal. On the $5 bill, Abraham Lincoln, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial. On the $10 note, you will have Andrew Jackson. Correction, you will have on the $10 note, you have Alexander Hamilton, and then on the reverse, the Treasury building, and on the $20 bill, Andrew Jackson with the White House on the reverse. So just because these are special emergency currency notes, they still went with the same traditional images on the obverse and on the reverse. The $1. Okay, fun fact time. Let's get into the fun facts. The $1 denomination is the only one of 4 that is a silver certificate, with the 5, 10, and 20 being Federal Reserve notes. And the issuing Federal Reserve district or bank is San Francisco. And I got a theory on that right though. So L is the Federal Reserve district. It's the 12th alphabet, and that is the Federal Reserve district of, San Francisco. San Francisco is the closest Federal Reserve district to Hawaii. That is why I think all Hawaii emergency currency notes are issued from Hawaii. And I also got another theory. All right, so with currency being printed in 2 locations, either Washington, D.C. or Fort Worth, Texas, I believe that, because you could tell where notes are printed from. So if you have a FW right there, it would say, it identifies that the note was printed at the Fort Worth facility. If there is nothing here, that means that it came from Washington, D.C. And I don't see any FW right there. So I would surmise that this note and all Hawaii emergency currency notes were printed in Washington, D.C. And I believe that for the purpose, because of the existence of these notes. These notes came into play because a U.S. territory was attacked and had the possibility of being invaded. So with something that serious going on, you would think that the government will intervene. So I think that they came up with the different notes and the different Treasury Seal, and they also printed it from Washington, D.C., shipped it over to the Federal Reserve District of San Francisco, and then from San Francisco, they was issued to Hawaii. That's what I think. If you think anything different, let me know via the comments. And last fun fact, the series years printed was 1934, 1934A, and 1935A. Even though these notes were printed from 1942 to 1944. So again, you got to go back to what I said on previous episodes, that the series year isn't the year that the note was printed. It was the year, which is still weird, because if the design of the note was approved in 1934, 34A, or 35A, the invasion didn't happen until like 1942. So that's why they came up with these notes. So it's pretty interesting to think about how come these notes have a series year of 1934, 1934A, and 1935A, but they was printed from 1942 to 1944. It's one of them currency things. I'm speaking to a buddy of mine via correspondence, and we got a little dialogue about how come these notes were printed when and the series years and all that right there. So I welcome any comments on that subject as well. These notes having a series year of 1934, 1934A, and 1935A, but it was printed from 1942 to 1944. And also, if anybody has any, not conspiracy, but their thoughts on how come these notes were only issued from the Federal Reserve District of San Francisco. All right, I look forward to your comments on that. All right, so that's all we got for this one. All right, till next time, keep it legal, keep it tender. Talk to you soon.